And we are going to jump right in. So I've pulled up Ron's build here from Sunday's MLB slate. Looks like he played a lot of slates here, which is good, right? We talk about spreading out your action across multiple slates. So he has, 40 entries on the turbos, 62 on the afternoon, 102 on the main. So definitely spreading that around. I really like to see that for sure. Let's jump into his contest selection for the main slate from Sunday here, and jumping over to the contest tab to start. So this looks pretty good. All of these contests are lower stakes contests that the best players in the lobby are not going to have access to. I see a mix here, right? We see 1, 2, 3, 4, 20 maxes, and then we see 1, 2, 6, 8 entries into single entry and 3 max, with some additional entries going into some other 25-cent contests. So contest selection looks really, really solid here. Happy with the balance that Ron is being able to achieve. Now let's jump into one of these and see how his lineups are doing. So let's use the quarter jukebox. Is going to be one of the biggest contests. It looks like that he played. So we will start with the quarter. See people rolling in. Just so you guys know, we only have one name on the list to today for build review. If anybody wants to submit their name for review, drop it in the office hours channel in Discord. We can get to a couple extra people here. But just so you guys know, wanted to let everybody know that. And so now we're in the quarter jukebox. We're going to see how Ron did. So this is Ron Lean Ween here. And we are going to filter for people that entered as many lineups as him and sort by sim ROI. So Ron had about a -3% sim ROI, with the top sim ROIs in like the 25 plus range here. So definitely room for improvement, right? We're going to, go through this and try and help Ron figure out what he can do to achieve better results. So looking here, average salary is not terrible to some of the top portfolios. Is in like the 49,000 range, a little low. Sim ROI is low, playing plenty of unique lineups. So this probably has a lot to do with it. His sim average score is about 96.5, and the top set's 110, 109, 109, 107, 107, 105. So, there's something to be said. I don't know why exactly yet he got to such low sim average score lineups, but we're going to find out, right? So let's zone in on his 20 lineups and go see what they look like. Plenty of correlation. There's one random 2-2-2 stack, but other than that, 19 out of the 20 lineups have at least a 4 stack in them. Exposures look really spread out at the batters. Nobody more than 30% owned. Top exposures were all pitchers. A little bit under on Skeens, but not terribly under. His leverage is very, very flat here. So I'm interested to see if he did something specific in the build that led to this outcome. But there are no huge red flags that I'm seeing from exposures or anything like that. Let's look at his actual lineups a little bit. So I'm wondering how he got to so many low projected lineups. We're going to have to go into a build and find out. So everything in that I've seen so far in contest flashback, not raising any super red flags. So the good thing here is that he actually split up his builds for the quarter, the dime and the 7, and then the single entry and 3 max. I think that's okay to do, right? If you have the time and you say, hey, this is my, biggest contest of the day, and I want to build for that separately. And then, I want to combine the dime times and the 7 entries and then the single entry and 3 max. I think that's okay, right? We say that he could have done the quarter and the dimes together if he wanted to, but he wanted to split out that one contest that meant more to him than the other ones. I think that's fine. So let's jump in here to this quarter build, and let's see what it looks like. So Ron isn't on Ultimate, so he doesn't have access to the contest sim. So stick it with Saber Score here. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so the first thing that really stands out to me, which is why I think you're actually getting to such low projected sets, is this min uniques of 8. This is very, very high. This is why we talk about adding in a aggregate metric that shows you the average projection of your lineups as you increase the min unique. So like average projection at min unique of 8 is about 96.5, which is what we saw, right? When I drop this to 7, 96.8, 96.9, slightly higher. Min unique of 6. Okay, we're getting in 97 range. Min unique of 5. Ooh, we actually dropped back down. Interesting. I thought we would keep climbing. 4 gets us higher. Wow, this is so weird. I thought we were going to decrease this number and see a big change, but I actually kind of understand why he got to 8, because at min unique of 1, we're seeing an average projection of 98.4, but then at a min unique of 8 compared to 1, he only lost about 2 points in projection while achieving a very, very high sim diversity. So nothing super weird there. Okay. On the all tab, not seeing a ton of minimax exposures. Nothing much on the all batters. Okay, pitchers, he was a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Particular, but not significantly, right? I'm saying like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 adjustments here. It's not super aggressive, if you ask me. You know, he's being a little opinionated, but he's not being totally opinionated, right? So these are the most changes we've seen to this point, right? So let's go into stacks. Got rid of like some very, very low stacks. Doesn't even want to mess with them. I think that's fine. You know, nothing much else here on the stack exposures, game stacks. Okay, a couple more opinions here, but I don't think they're super significant, right? We're seeing like 15% Arizona. You know, their team total was like really, really low here. You know, this could be it, right? If you're taking a very particular stand where the builder doesn't necessarily agree with you, right? So like this could be something, but I mean, forcing a little bit of exposure to 2 teams that have over a 5 projected run total, I don't think that is a bad thing. You know, you're making small adjustments, right? You're like, hey, I just want like 1 or 2 lineups with this team or 1 or 2 lineups with that team. You know, you're not like sitting here going all in on these teams. So I don't hate that at all. You know, it's okay to put in some opinions, right? Where people get in a lot of trouble is when they put in too many or they put in too aggressive of inputs. These are small inputs, right? Even the pitchers were not terrible, right? Like, okay, Paul Skeens projected for about 40% ownership, pool exposure is about 36%, and then you went like 25% max. Like that's, you know, negative 10% leverage. Not egregious at all. Arrighetti, you match the pool. Garrett Cole, slightly under, right? The only big stand here is like Rin Nelson, you know, 15%, which was like 5x his ownership, 3x his pool exposure. But it seems like you liked Arizona for whatever reason. You know, you wanted to play some lineups that directly opposed Paul Skeens. So, you know, that is a reason that you could get to some lower projected lineups, just because you're taking a small subset of your lineups and basically setting them up where if the chalk pitcher fails, you win. You know, it's okay to have a few lineups like that, right? I don't think that's bad. Especially when, you know, you're doing 15%, 3 out of 20 lineups. It's like, it's not the worst thing in the world. So what I'm wondering is possibly something good to do here is to add a filter where it says show lineups with projection greater than, and then pick a number, right? Let's start with 90. When I set 90, I get rid of 25 lineups. Okay, maybe I want to go a little bit higher, maybe 92. Now I've gotten rid of 59 lineups, right? This is about 10%. Maybe I want to get closer to 20%, right? 93. Okay, so maybe I stop here. So what we've done simply by doing this is we've raised the average projection of our set of lineups. And if I turn this off, if I turn the filter off, our average projection goes down to 96.5. If I turn it on, I think I said 93. So we go from 96.5 to our average projection being 97.7. So simply by cutting out the bottom 20% of lineups by projected score, we have increased our projection, our average projection across our 20 lineups by like 1.2 points. This filter is not a premium filter. So all you got to do is go to lineup filters and you go to add, and then you're going to have some of these default options. Projection, ownership, salary should be some default options across all plans. So this is like one quick and easy way to increase the average projection across your lineups. This will help, right? I think it's one of those situations where you took a stand against a chalky pitcher. So, you're most likely going to come in a little bit lower as far as sim average score. If you're okay with that, you take a stand on one particular day, one particular slate, that's okay. But if you're seeing low sim average scores or low sim ROIs every single day, every single slate, because you're playing all these different slates, well, then, there's probably something wrong, right? But I think that, I think it's okay to be a little opinionated. The team stacks look fine. Team stack changes, pitcher changes. You can mess around with, I don't know exactly why you set min uniques to 8. Maybe when using the min uniques, this is a tool to diversify your lineups to get them to a point where you feel comfortable with the risk that you're taking as far as how much exposure you have to the different players in your lineup. You don't need to max this out. I usually settle on a number kind of closer to like 5. And that just usually makes sense to me, right? 5, 6, sometimes 4. When you're using this tool, make sure you are watching how your exposures and your leverages to the players are changing and settle on a number that makes sense to you. So I just want to make sure you're not just coming in here and maxing it out just to do it. I know Jordan recommends one below the max. That is a good, like, quick and dirty rule there. But if we're trying to take your game to the next level, then, I want to give you a little bit more insight about better ways to use this tool. And, one less than the max is good advice, sound, especially when you're starting out, especially when, you're new to the tool. But as you get more familiar with it, you should really be using this to figure out where you want your leverages to be and looking at the leverages for the pitchers, looking at the leverages for the batters, seeing how those things change as you adjust that. I think that ends up being a good thing to take the next step and be a little bit more granular and, see how that works on the team stack level, on the player level, on the pitcher level. And, I don't settle on the same number every day. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 6. It just depends on the games on the slate. It depends, the player pool. It depends on the effect that it's having on my set. Do I agree? Do I disagree? Am I comfortable? Am I uncomfortable? And, you could use that in a little bit different manner to achieve something that still makes sense to you. So that's what I would recommend. I personally think that is the best way to use it. I think that, one below the max is a good rule when you're starting out. But, if you're at this step, if you're at the step like, hey, Andrew, review my build, I want to get better, that is something that you can do to take your game to the next level. So that's something I would definitely recommend. But overall here, contest selection looks good. Some small adjustments look fine. You're using the mini uniques tool. That looks great. start adding the projection filter to cut out some of the bottom projected lineups, since we're seeing that have an effect on your sim ROIs. And I think you'll be moving in the right direction. So good stuff, Ron. Hope that helped. All right. Looks like we got someone else here adding their name to the queue. Appreciate you, Mathis. You know, I enjoy doing this show. So let's get Mathis up on the screen here. And we will start reviewing our next set. Oops. Okay, let's try this one first. Appreciate you guys hanging out while I get Mathis up here. All right. Not seeing anything. Let me try something else. All right, let's see if this works. Okay, I see some builds here for yesterday's main slate, which we will get up right now. All right, so we have Mathis up here on the screen. So we're going to jump into our second one here. Taking a peek. Okay, hold on. Message from Mathis. Looks like he doesn't want us to review the Sunday one. So let's go to Saturday's main slate. This should be a little bit better to review. Okay, August 3rd. Here we go. Or is this MMA? Oh, that was MMA. Let's try Friday. Okay, so let's do this Friday, August 2nd, DK main slate. This one should be a fine one for us to do. So let's jump to the contest tab. Okay, so 150 maxing the 50 cent here. You know, I do think it is still a good idea to spread around your entry fees on other smaller contests, right? Like there's a number of dime times. You could play the $1.20 max. You could play the quarter jukebox as well. These are all really good contests to play. So consider adding some of those to your contest mix, and then also add in some single entry and 3 max. That's going to help you out as well, right? So we talk about balancing single entry and 3 max with 20 max and 150 max. We say about, you know, however much bankroll you have for the day, whether it's $75 like you put in for today, you know, take 25 to 50% of that, put it in single entry and 3 max, take the rest of the 50 to 75%, put that in the 20 max and 150 max. And then remember, you don't have to max these contests out. It is okay to enter less than the max if, you know, you only have, say, $30 left after you've entered all those other contests and you want to put them in this contest. Well, it's okay to put in 60 entries, right? The idea is you're putting your best 60 entries first, and you're just not putting in your 61st through 150th best lineups in this contest. So totally okay to do that. All right, so let's jump into build one here. and see what we were looking like pre-sleep. So Mathis is on the ultimate plan, so access to contest sims here. Settings look fine. Rules look fine. One contest sim. All's good there. Using risk-adjusted ROI. Setting a filter for ROI greater than 0. Solid stuff. I'm not 100% sure why we're only seeing 69 lineups here as opposed to 150. Could be something on my end. Not 100% sure. Like that, he's adding the minimum ROI aggregate metric here. Basically, he's trying to make sure that all of the lineups he plays are at least positive sim ROI here. We've talked about adding a few more that could be pretty good here. So just so you know, like adding average ROI across your entire set. I think that the more lineups you have, the more this makes sense. So adding like an average ROI along with your minimum. These can be two good metrics to have here, right? So you get to see how ROI changes across the whole set and then your last lineup. So I think those two things are good. Let's take a step back and let's go and see how he graded out in the contest. Okay, it doesn't look like the contest file uploaded. It could be due to the entry size here. So we're not going to be able to see what your sim ROI is at the moment. It looks like you had good current expectations. So performed well in the contest overall. So let's jump back to the build, see what we could see here. I'm going to turn off the filter and then I'm going to turn it back on. Okay, that looks more right now. Okay, so let's see here in the all tab sorting by projection. So this is normally what we like to see, right? Highest exposures are to pitchers who are going to have higher ownership. And then, batters getting some leverage on batters, right? Like 3 to 4x Matt Chapman here and nobody more than 25% exposure. Appreciate the advice, Mark. Looks like we may have done that by accident before I even saw your message, and it worked out just the same. Okay. So not very opinionated here as far as individual changes, but just using mini uniques to get spread out. So this is working exactly as intended, right? He's getting to a nice spread of leverage on pitchers, leverage on some batters, but he's not having to do it by hand. He's using mini uniques. He's not going super far in his pool, right? He could have went farther. He's only at lineup 229 out of 150, but probably what happened is that he saw his leverages like, hey, my exposure to my pitchers, I'm pretty comfortable with. My exposure to my batters, I'm pretty comfortable with. Let's just stop at 4. And that was the right number for him, right? He could have went to 5, 6, 7, 8. So it just depends what the right number is for you. Again, not making any adjustments really here on the team stack level. I think this is a solid build. I wish we could have seen what the sim ROI is, but I think you're doing a lot of the right things, right? I think average ROI can help you as well when you're making some adjustments here. So add the average ROI. I think that you're doing a lot of the right things here, and I would stay on track, right? It looks like you were winning in that contest. You said your current expectation was about $184, which is double 2 to 3x like 2.5x the entry fees there. So it looks like you had a pretty solid day on this August 2nd Friday main slate. So keep doing what you're doing. And, we can just kind of go from there. But good work, Mathis. All right. So those were our 2 people who signed up for today. Reminder, guys, that we do this show Monday through Friday. So if anybody wants their builds reviewed, they like this form of content, they want the personalized advice, sign up for tomorrow, right? Play some MLB lineups tonight. Drop your username in the office hours channel in Discord for tomorrow, and I will get you guys signed up for the show. But appreciate you guys tuning in. I will be right back here tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, for our office hours show first, followed by the build review. So appreciate you guys. And tonight, if you're playing tonight, good luck. Take care.